Hello. Hey, welcome everybody. My name's Axel, if you don't already know from Get Speaking English. Welcome to this little live lesson. So I know recently I've just been doing a lot of crossword streams. Today I'm actually going to be looking at an article. If you don't know, I do a lot of conversation classes, all based on articles, sometimes videos, but a lot of articles. And right now, the current article that I am talking about is this one during class. So what's going to happen during this live is I'm going to go through this article. I'm going to read it. You'll be able to hear the pronunciation, things of that nature. I'm going to discuss any of the vocabulary or phrases that I think are interesting that come up. Hopefully that's going to help you understand this article a little bit better. And then, yeah, you can use this video afterwards to study this article, work on your pronunciation by, shadowing and things like that. I know some people like to do that. Shadowing, that's really great. It's a really great way to make sure you're getting the, the accents, the intonation correct while you're speaking. So you could use this little video as a resource to practice all of that. And then if you want, you are more than welcome to book a class with me, or even 5 classes. I have so much material for classes, so I definitely recommend actually talking about things for a little bit of time. But if you would like to book a class about this, to get speaking about it, you can contact me actually before April 27th, and we can talk about this article, talk about this topic. Like I mentioned, you could either do 1 class or 5 classes. And there are general conversation classes. Those focus on just fluency, improving, getting confident at speaking. I will give you some feedback about pronunciation, your vocabulary, some mild grammar corrections and things like that. But if you want to get really into it, if you are really gung-ho about improving your English, I definitely recommend upgrading and doing lessons instead, because during lessons I can really help people improve their pronunciation, fix their fossilized errors, those mistakes you've been making forever that are holding you back. It also gives me an opportunity to really go into the grammar, the vocabulary in the article. It's also the only way that I work on writing with people. So if you're interested in getting feedback on your writing, or if you would like homework assignments, you have to do lessons with me. That will not happen during conversation classes. Anyways, the full details about all of this are available on my website, www.getspeakingenglish.com. You can check that out for full details. And 2, I should also mention as well, I'm having a sale on conversation classes as well, because it is spring right now. So you can actually save up to 20% on packages of these article-based classes. Like I said, the conversation classes or lessons as well. So if you're interested in any of this, talking about this topic in particular, or just talking or doing a series of conversational classes, I have so many articles to talk about at this point. So if you're interested in getting into talking about a bunch of them, right now is a great time to book some classes. You'll get up to 20% off of packages of 5 or 10 conversation classes or lessons. So it's best to email me, getspeakingenglish@gmail.com, or actually send me a message on Telegram. I know right now I'm live on Facebook and I'm live on YouTube, but the best place to get a hold of me is either email or Telegram. And just mention spring sale in your message so I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh yeah, I suppose too, if you contact me about this, mention, what was it? Being bad at hobbies. Just because I get so much spam. I get so much spam on Telegram, and my email as well, but specifically on Telegram. So let me know that you are a real person by mentioning either spring sale or being bad at hobbies when you contact me about lessons. If you just message me with a hi I won't respond because I get so many bots and things and weird scam messages, so I don't respond to anything like that. Anyways, so enough talking, let's get right into this article. Like I said, I'm going to go through, I'm going to talk about it. This lesson is not going to be super interactive, so just a heads up. Next week I will do something a little bit more interactive. I will look at, I think it's part 1 of the B2 first C1 advanced exam. We'll talk about some vocabulary and things related to the topic of this article, so being bad at hobbies. But for now, I'm just going to go through, I'm going to read it. You're going to be able to hear the pronunciation of the words. I'm going to discuss the vocabulary, phrases that come up. And then, yeah, after all is said and done, you can review this video and use it to study. All right, so let's get right into it. I think I'm working. So the article here, the joy of mediocrity. We need hobbies, even if we're bad at them, to free us from perfection. So right off the bat, we have this interesting word, mediocrity. What does that mean, mediocrity? So if you, mediocrity, basically, it's like the quality or the state of just being average at something. So we're not very good at something. We're not necessarily bad at them either, but like, we're just like not very good at things, right? And here too, like this is the noun form. We could also use this as an adjective to be, if something is mediocre, spell it, mediocre, that means that it's very average. Let me check that you can see this. Yes. Very average, not very, you know, good or exceptional, right? But just kind of like, but not that great. So the joy of being kind of not that great at things. So why we need to do hobbies, even if we are bad at them, to free us from perfection. So the idea of having to be perfect all the time, right? So when I focus on getting better at something, it creates room for failure. I want only carefree pleasure from my downtime. So when I focus only on getting better at something, it creates room for failure. So there's opportunity for failure. So, you know, it might not always go as planned, right? And this person only wants carefree pleasure from their downtime. What does it mean if something's carefree? Just basically something without worries or without stress. You know, if you're a very carefree person, you're somebody who doesn't really necessarily worry about things or gets stressed about things. All right, so let's go. And I'm looking over this way because my cat is actually over here, and I'm worried that my cat is going to want to leave the room. But hopefully he will behave. All right. So I've been surfing for almost 20 years now, but you wouldn't guess it if you watched me. I'm the 30-something-year-old woman frolicking in the whitewash with the little tackers, whooping when I managed to stand up on a wave like a kid cycling for the first time without training wheels. After mornings full of spectacular stacks, I've spent many an afternoon slowly draining salt water from my brain. And I wouldn't want it any other way. Hooray. So, some interesting vocabulary in here. Really interesting vocabulary. The author of this, I believe, is Australian. So there's a lot of Australian slang vocabulary right in this first paragraph here. So yeah, so I've been surfing for almost 20 years now, but you wouldn't guess it if you watched me. So saying that it looks like she hasn't been doing it for very long, basically, because she's kind of bad at it. So I'm the 30-something-year-old woman frolicking in the whitewash with the little tackers. So little tackers, like I said, Australian slang for children. So she's hanging out with the kids. And the whitewash. What is the whitewash? The whitewash here, we mean the white part of the wave, basically. So sort of like that, when it comes and breaks into the beach, right? There's like the wave, like the white foamy stuff. That's what we mean by the whitewash here, right? And she is frolicking in the whitewash. Another great word here. If you frolic in something, if you're frolicking, it just means you're kind of like playing around, you're kind of moving around, sort of happily, playfully. So that's what it means to frolic. So she's basically playing with the kids in sort of the shallow area of the waves. Whooping when I managed to stand up on a wave like a kid cycling for the first time. So whooping, to whoop, that's kind of like a cheer. So that's what we mean, just cheering basically, like woohoo, that would be a whoop, woohoo, we say something like that. So whooping when I managed to stand up on a wave like a kid cycling first time without training wheels. The training wheels being the little tiny wheels that parents might attach to a larger bicycle to help it stay upright when a kid is learning how to cycle. So after mornings of spectacular stacks, and again, more Australian slang here. Actually, I had to look this one. I had a hard time figuring out what this one is. I'm not Australian. I am Canadian. We don't use this here, but a stack is a fall. You take a fall or a crash, basically. So, and if something is spectacular, it's really quite marvelous, something amazing to look at. So, so after mornings of lots of epic falls, basically, I've spent many an afternoon slowly draining salt water from my brain. So just, lots of water. And I wouldn't want it any other way. So that is how this person prefers their surfing experience. So supportive friends and well-wishers have suggested I take lessons, offered to be my mentor, or insisted I could improve if I trained harder. The implication is if I'm passionate about something, I should also be proficient. I say thanks, but I'm happy being a below average surfer. All right, so supportive friends and well-wishers. These are kind of people who, well, essentially they wish you well, right? They want you to be happy. They want you to be healthy. They're supportive. They are being hopeful, right? So these well-wishers, they've suggested this person takes lessons. They've offered to be my mentor. So a mentor here, this is somebody who's going to guide you. So maybe somebody who's more experienced in something. Very, very experienced in whatever they do, and they are going to help you. They are going to mentor you as well. So we can also use that as a verb, right? So here it's being used as a noun, but we can also use it as a verb to mentor someone. Yeah, so we can mentor somebody as well. And they've insisted, they said over and over again that I could improve if I trained harder. So the implication, or at least the idea, is if I'm passionate about something, I should also be proficient. And if we're proficient at something, that means that we are exceptionally, well, very skilled at something, very good at something. Probably because you trained over and over and over again. You really honed your abilities. We'll come to that word later in this article, but you've really worked on perfecting what you do or what you've done. You've gotten really good at it. So if you're proficient, you're very good at it. I say thanks, but I'm happy being a below average surfer. So I'm happy to not be That great. And below average, so not even as good as a normal person, but you know, lesser than the average surfer. All right. So my career has mainly been in laboratory and medical sciences, which allows little to no room for error. Perfectionism and productivity have been drilled into me from a young age, both directly and diffusely. There has been a consistent cultural undertone of anything worth doing is worth doing well. And this, combined with hustle culture that equates busyness with success, leads to the expectation that our precious spare time should be spent honing our skills, there it is, or increasing our output. Anything less than that would be lazy. Yeah. So this person, like I said, like my career has been mainly in, I said laboratory. Some people will say laboratory. They're both right. So laboratory or laboratory, and medical sciences, which allows little to no room for error. So if there's little to no room for error, that means that there's basically no possibility for, or there's no space for errors whatsoever. So you have to be exceptionally precise and accurate about things, basically what we're saying, right? So no errors. So perfectionism and productivity have been drilled into me from a young age. And so what do we mean by that? Something drilled into you? It's been repeated over and over and over a million times, so many times that it just becomes part of you. So if you drill something into you, you've had it repeated a lot, and then you essentially remember it or think it or whatnot. So perfectionism and productivity have been drilled into this person, repeated over and over again from a young age, both directly and diffusely. So diffusely, kind of in a way that's indirect. So almost more like like assumptions or things like that. Like it's more spread out, not direct. So indirectly. So there has been a constant cultural undertone, so consistent cultural undertone of anything worth doing is worth doing well. So this cultural idea, this cultural sort of message, that anything worth doing is worth doing well. And I think this is sort of a phrase that's pretty kind of common. You'll hear this from time to time in English, at least. That, you know, there's no point in doing anything badly, right? So if it's worth doing, if it's valuable, if there's value in doing it, that you should do it well, right? And this combined with hustle culture, so the idea that you have to be busy all the time, you have to constantly be working and, you know, honing your skills, being productive all the time. So hustle culture that equates busyness with success leads to the expectation that our precious spare time should be spent honing our skills or increasing our output. So I know I said honing earlier. If you hone something, particularly a skill, if you hone something, that means that we are going to improve. We're going to get very good at something by practicing it. Actually, usually you would hone a knife. So you would make the edge very sharp, very pointy, so it can cut really well. So again, similarly here, we are going to like improve our abilities. So we are very good at what we're doing. So that's what it means to hone a skill. A great little collocation there. Or increasing our output. So output as in the amount of things we are able to produce, right? So we should be putting all of our precious, our dear spare time, extra time. We should spend it honing our skills, being better at things or increasing the things we produce. Anything less than that would be lazy. All right. So the gig economy and a rise in the uptake of side hustles sparks further encouragement to monetize our hobbies. While that can certainly be satisfying and a great way to make some extra cash, it can also be considered an oxymoronic concept. Merriam-Webster's definition of a hobby is a pursuit outside one's regular occupation, engaged in especially for relaxation. Introducing the pressures of selling your services can effectively dull or completely kill that all-important relaxation factor of a hobby. If we turn everything into a productivity race, our downtime can inadvertently devolve into extra work time. Yeah, all right. So the gig economy, you'll hear this coming up sometime, especially these days. Basically that, that system where everybody earns extra money through sort of like small, lower paying jobs, sort of freelance jobs. So for example, maybe driving for Uber or Lyft, for example, or doing DoorDash, like the food delivery thing. Maybe, teaching online, various freelance work, basically. Freelance work where maybe you just get hired temporarily for a job, but they're not sort of sustainable long-term jobs. They don't typically have, benefits and the security that a more traditional job would have. So gig specifically referring to sort of short-term job. So this gig economy, this whole system, based on gigs or short jobs, and the rise and uptake of side hustles. Again, a side hustle, this is something that you would do in addition to your normal job. I don't have a definition for that one, but yeah, basically something you do in addition to your normal day job to make extra money. So the rise and uptake of side hustles, so it's just like the increase of people having side hustles, having additional things that they do to make money, sparks further encouragement to monetize our hobbies. And so if we monetize something, that means to earn money from something, essentially, right? So these days people feel really under pressure to make money off of their hobbies, right? And that kind of kills the fun, takes the fun out of things, right? So while it can certainly be satisfying and a great way to make some extra cash, so to make some extra cash, some pocket money, we might say, or some spare cash, just extra money. It could also be considered an oxymoronic concept. So oxymoronic here, right? We have like this adjective, not super common to use the word oxymoronic, but it comes from the word oxymoron, and that's just basically sort of a phrase that combines two very, opposite or sort of contradictory ideas, right? So, because like on one hand, a hobby is supposed to be something carefree that you do for leisure, but now we are monetizing it. We're adding that stress factor. These two very contradictory things coming together is as one thing. Yeah. So Merriam-Webster's definition of a hobby is a pursuit, so something we do outside one's regular occupation, regular job, engaged in especially for relaxation. So so something we do outside of our normal job for relaxation. So introducing the pressures of selling your services can effectively dull. So basically just to reduce, like it kind of just reduces maybe this like it makes it, it lessens it, right? As you dull something, you lessen it, right? So basically, yeah, effectively dull or completely kill that all-important relaxation factor. So we're basically making it less relaxing, right? Because we're adding the stress factor back into it. So if we turn everything into a productivity race, our downtime can inadvertently devolve into extra work time. So if something happens inadvertently, there we go. That means that it happens by accident, or on accident, but by accident. That's what I would say. If we do it without meaning to do something. So if you did something inadvertently, I can't even say it, gosh. It means that you do it by accident, without meaning to do it. So great little word there. Yeah, so our downtime can accidentally devolve or basically change into extra work time. So, and if something devolves, like it doesn't change in a good way, but it changes in a bad way. So, or becomes worse, right? So our downtime can unintentionally, inadvertently devolve or change into extra work time. All right. So while I get a sense of fulfillment from developing certain skills, I want to reserve some activities purely for imperfect pleasure. I would go so far as to say I need to reserve some activities purely for imperfect pleasure for the sake of my mental health. Psychologists have been spruiking the positive effects of hobbies on psychological well-being for years. We get those essential happy hormones from losing ourselves in a chosen activity, giving us a sense of meaning and purpose while being blissfully distracted from everyday stressors. Yeah, all right. So while I get a sense of fulfillment, that feeling of, satisfaction and purpose, right? So while I get a sense of satisfaction, sense of fulfillment from developing certain skills, I want to reserve, or I want to sort of save some activities purely for imperfect pleasure. So, the opposite of something being perfect, right? Not perfect, sort of having flaws, being allowed to make mistakes, right? So this person wants to make sure that they're creating space, allowing some space to do things imperfectly, to do things kind of badly, right? I would go so far as to say that I need to reserve, so I need to save some activities purely for this, for the sake of my mental health. So if we do something for the sake of something, it's like we're doing it for that specific goal, that very specific goal. So they're saying that, this is like a key fundamental thing, very important for my mental health. So I'm going to do it for that purpose. So we're going to have some just like imperfect fun time so I can save my mental health, so I can feel better in the long run. So psychologists have been spruiking. I think that's how you say this. This is a word I would not say. But psychologists have been spruiking the positive effects of hobbies on psychological well-being for years. So this word here, again, the author is Australian. And this is also an Australian slang word. And if we're spruiking about something, or to spruik about something, that means to speak publicly about something, to promote something, basically. So psychologists have been talking about the positive effects of hobbies on psychological well-being for years. So we get those essential hormones, like the hormones, sort of like the drugs almost released from your body, right? From losing ourselves into a chosen activity. So if we lose ourselves in something, right, we become so focused on something, we become so involved in something that like really we can't focus on anything else, right? So it's nice to sort of just focus on a nice activity, forget about everything else, right? So you can lose yourself in a good book, you get kind of sucked into reading it, or you can lose yourself into watching TV. So we get great hormones, great sort of chemicals flowing through our body when we let ourselves kind of get sucked into or focus in on a nice, pleasant activity. So giving us a sense of meaning and purpose while being blissfully distracted from everyday stresses. And we could kind of see the word here, blissfully, coming from the word bliss, right? So bliss, the state of being very happy, right? And here, blissfully, a great little adjective, just meaning that we're very happy, very peaceful, very in a very nice state of mind, I guess you could say. So when I focus too much on getting better at something, it creates room for failure. I don't want to fail in my relaxation time. I just want to go with the flow and soak up the fun. No pressure, only carefree, uncomplicated enjoyment. I simply want to enjoy the ride. So when I focus too much on something, it creates room for failure. So again, like I said earlier, it creates an opportunity for failure, right? And this person is saying, I don't want to fail in my relaxation time, which makes sense, right? Why would you want to have that pressure, right? I want to just go with the flow and soak in the fun. So if we go with the flow, or something, this is sort of like a great little phrase. It just means that you kind of relax, accept that whatever is going to happen is going to happen, and you just kind of go along with it. You don't worry. So if we go with the flow, maybe go with the flow with an idea or a plan or something, you just kind of like, or maybe other people want to do something and then you go with the flow. So you just basically follow whatever they want to do. You let them make their own decisions. You just accept it. You don't fight it. You just kind of go along. And soak in the fun. You soak in something as it just like enjoy the fun. So no pressure, only carefree. So again, like free of worry, free of stress, uncomplicated enjoyment. I simply want to enjoy the ride. And again, going back to like sort of like going with the flow. If you just enjoy the ride, you just kind of enjoy how it goes without worrying too much about it, without overthinking things. So I make clay earrings that often turn out mismatched or lumpy. Yet I still enjoy the production process, the feeling of the clay between my fingertips, the pleasure of creating something uniquely mine, the wholesomeness of taking amorphic lumps of clay and letting my creativity take the reins, organically constructing something beautiful. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, after all. So so I make clay. So clay, sort of that hard, it's almost like mud, right? But you might make like statues or things. So this person is making earrings with their clay. They're often mismatched, as in they're different from one another. So they don't quite go together, or they are lumpy, something lumpy. The opposite of being smooth. So something lumpy has a lot of bumps in it, or maybe a little uneven sort of shapes or textures. So they don't match each other, and they are far from perfect. They are, they're not smooth, but they're a little bit lumpy, a little bumpy. Yet I still enjoy the production process, the feeling of the clay, that material between my fingertips, the pleasure of creating something uniquely mine. So something unique, only one of a kind, right? So the wholesomeness of taking amorphic lumps of clay. So the wholesomeness, just sort of like that quality of if something is wholesome, it's just kind of like it's kind of really nice. It's kind of good for your mind, body, sort of spirit. You know, it's just like pleasurable, kind of nice. The wholesomeness here, like the quality of being good for the body and good for your soul, of taking amorphic lumps of clay. Amorphic, great little word here. Something amorphic is it lacks clear definition. Like it doesn't really have like a clear, solid shape. So yeah, because they're just basically like these blobs, these lumps of clay, right? That initially doesn't have any shape, right? So yeah, so essentially the nice feeling of taking these lumps, these undefined lumps of clay, and letting my creativity take the reins. So letting the creativity guide this person, right? Or like lead this person. Organically constructing something beautiful. So organically, again, just like doing it kind of without sort of structure, without maybe machines and tools or something like that, but just like letting something naturally happen, something organic, something natural, right? And yeah, we do say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Just basically saying that what one person finds beautiful, another person may not find beautiful, right? Because we all have our own unique tastes, right? So yeah, so one person might find it really beautiful, another person may not find it beautiful, and that is fine, right? We are all different, we are all unique, we are all special in our own ways, right? So I'm lucky if my vegetable garden yields enough produce to make one full salad every 6 months. But I still harvest portions of delight every time a new leaf unfurls or a flower blossoms. Watching new life sprout forth from seeds gives me a sense of wonder and pride, and I'm happy, although somewhat begrudgingly, when my dog derives such innocent enrichment from helping me dig up the soil. All right, yeah, so I'm lucky. So saying that, like, you know, it's quite unlucky that this is going to happen, but I'm lucky if my vegetable garden yields or produces enough produce to make one full salad every 6 months. You hear how I said that. So to yield something basically means to produce something here with the accent on the second syllable, right? To produce something or to create something. But here, vegetable garden yields enough produce. So produce with the accent on the first half, we mean fruit and vegetables. One of those cool words where the meaning will change depending on where the accent is in the word. So to produce something, the verb to make something, produce, referring to fruits and vegetables. So this person, like, it usually doesn't happen. Usually we might not even get a salad, basically what we're saying. So I'm lucky if my vegetable garden makes enough fruit and vegetables to make one full salad every 6 months. But I still harvest portions. I'm still collecting portions of delight every time a new leaf unfurls, every time it opens up, sort of spreads out, or a flower blooms. So watching a new life sprout forth, so to begin to grow from seeds, it gives me a sense of wonder and pride. So a sense of like, wow, this is really amazing. And then pride, of course. If you feel pride, you feel very proud about your accomplishments, right? And I'm happy, although somewhat begrudgingly, when my dog derives such innocent enrichment from helping me dig up the soil. So this person, you know, they're happy, although somewhat begrudgingly, when my dog derives such enrichment, innocent enrichment, from helping me dig up the soil. So what do we mean here? The dog is, you know, if you derive something from something, you get something from something, basically. And so we're basically saying, you know, like the dog is digging up the garden, right? Because that's what dogs do, right? And this person is just trying to be happy with it. We're trying to go with the flow, right? Even if somewhat begrudgingly, as in like she's kind of resenting it a little bit, right? Basically, that's what we mean, right? If you do something begrudgingly, you kind of do it a little bit unwillingly, right? Because most people would get kind of angry at their dog digging up the ground, right? Digging up the soil. So, but she's trying to be happy. So even if she doesn't instinctively want to be happy. Anyways, approaching an activity without the dangling pressure of needing to be good at it motivates me to try new things with an open mind. A good friend and I recently agreed to try a new activity every month, regardless of how well we thought we'd do at it. This has led to some amusing adventures, trialing sword fighting and Tai Chi, with our next one booked in as dodgeball. Jiu-Jitsu struck a particular chord with her, and she's decided to continue with it. Who cares if we're the worst ones there? The joy is in giving it a go and relishing a fresh experience. Yeah, so approaching an activity without the dangling pressure, so without the outside pressure. If something legitimately dangles, it means it's kind of like falling off of something, like dangly earrings will kind of like, or my hair, I guess, kind of dangles a little bit. But yeah, approaching the activity without this outside influence, the pressure of needing to be good at it, motivates me to try new things with an open mind. And if we have an open mind, or if we are open-minded about something, we are open to new ideas, we are willing to try different things without maybe having preconceived notions about something. So ideas, like initial ideas that would color how something is, right? Or what it would influence what we think about something. So we do something with an open mind. We try not to have outside influences. We just are accepting, and we try new things. So a good friend and I recently agreed to do a new activity every month. So regardless of how well we thought we'd do at it, so it didn't matter how well we did at it, we were going to try it. So this has led to some amusing adventures, something amusing, funny, has led to some funny adventures, trialing sword fighting and Tai Chi. So Tai Chi being a type of martial arts. With the next one booked in, so if we book something, we sort of essentially sign up to do something, arrange to do something in advance, right? So with our next one booked in as dodgeball, so they've signed up for dodgeball next. Jiu-Jitsu, another form of martial arts, struck a particular chord with her. So it struck a particular chord with her friend. If something strikes a chord with you or strikes a chord with somebody, it means that it really has a good sort of impact on you. It causes you to feel, particularly interested in something or maybe connected to something. Like you take a genuine interest in something. So this person ended up loving jiu-jitsu, basically. It struck a chord with her and she decided to continue with it. Who cares if we are the worst ones there? The joy is in giving it a go. So if you give something a go, you just try something. So so the joy is in trying it, giving it a go, and relishing a fresh experience. Another interesting word here. If you relish something or relish in something, that would be the preposition we might use. relishing in something, to relish something, means to really enjoy something, just take a lot of pleasure in something. So if you really like something, you can relish relish it. Like I relish reading, or I relish in taking long walks along the beach. That would be something that would be really nice. So I'm not saying I don't want to put any effort in my recreational pursuits. Learning and improving at something provides a fantastic feeling of accomplishment. It just doesn't have to apply to everything. I don't need to improve at something in order to enjoy it. If I find an activity that brings me simple happiness, I can permit myself to treasure it as it is, whether I objectively suck at it or not. All right, yeah, so I'm not saying that I don't want to put in any efforts into my recreational pursuit. So a pursuit, sort of an activity, something that you do, maybe just typically for enjoyment. So a pursuit, and something recreational that has to also do with you know, like leisure activities, sort of hobby. Yeah, so this person is saying she's not saying that she doesn't want to put in any effort, like she doesn't want to try at all. You know, learning and improving at something does provide a fantastic feeling of accomplishment. It does feel good. It just doesn't have to apply to everything. So it doesn't mean that we have to do it for every little thing, right? I don't need to improve at something in order to enjoy it. Like, you can just do it just because you want to, right? So if I find an activity that brings me simple happiness, if I find an activity that causes me to be happiness, brings me simple happiness, I can permit myself, or I can allow myself to treasure it, so to value it, care deeply about it, right? I can allow myself to treasure it or to value it as it is. So whether I objectively suck at it or not. So if you do something objectively, it's kind of a way that's based on sort of like kind of more like almost like feelings, right? Because if something is objective or subjectively, it kind of depends on like the person, right? Right, so we can all have like an objective sort of like opinion about something, right? So whether I objectively suck at it or not, if we suck at it, this is very, very informal phrase, super informal, very slang. But if you suck at something, it means that you're very bad at something. Or we could also say that something sucks as well, like a movie. If a movie sucks, for example, it was a really bad movie. So yeah, so this person, you know, they're allowing themselves to enjoy their hobbies regardless of whether or not they suck at it or not, regardless of whether or not they are good at it or not, or bad at it, right? None of that matters. Yeah. Anyways, so there we have it. I hope that this little video will help you understand this article better. Some interesting words in here, definitely. Interesting little topic as well, too. I know I am a bit of a perfectionist. I know I work with a lot of people who are also perfectionists. So, yeah, the idea of doing hobbies and just being bad at them has been a bit controversial. So we've had some interesting conversations about this already with some of my students. So if you're interested in talking about this, again, like I said, you're welcome to contact me. And we can talk about this article, we can talk about this topic. Like I said, like I have a bunch of lesson material. So I recommend talking about it even more, like 4-5 classes. So, and again, the conversation classes, they focus mostly on improving fluency, building confidence. Lots of great things in there, as speaking tasks, things that we can do together. Also some tasks similar to the ones you'll find on the B2 first and the C1 advanced exam during the speaking paper. So I always try to do like a part 2 or part 3 task. I don't remember exactly which one is in this lesson, but there's something there for and questions that will help you prepare for those sorts of exams. And then too, if you want to do even take an even deeper dive, I definitely recommend doing lessons as well. So again, check out www.getspeakingenglish.com. You can find more details about the differences between conversation classes and lessons there. And yeah, like I said too, you're welcome to take advantage of my little spring sale. I'm offering discounts right now, up to 20% off of packages. So packages of 5 or packages of 10 article-based conversation classes. So you could take advantage of that before the end of April. Yes, April. Yes, so you still have like 2 weeks. So you can take advantage of those sale prices. So just send me an email or send me a message on Telegram. That's the best way to get in touch with me. And mention being bad at hobbies if you want specifically to talk about this article, or just mention spring sale if you want to get a pack of conversational classes. And I have many other different articles we can talk about as well. All right. Anyways, I will be back probably next week at this time for another live lesson. It's going to be based on this article, this topic, but it's going to be looking more at vocabulary or some sort of exam-based skills. I don't remember off the top of my head what I planned for this, but it's something. So come back for that for sure. And too, if you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. You're more than welcome to share it to your favorite English learning group on Facebook. That's really great as well. Follow me on social media. You're welcome to join me over on the Telegram groups as well, where I share lots of different activities, lots of listening activities and things like that. And I will be back tomorrow too, actually. Tomorrow, an hour earlier at 1300 UTC. I'm going to be back here to do a crossword, so you're welcome to join me for that as well. Okay, anyways, have a great day, everybody. Thanks so much for coming out. And I will see you all in the next either crossword live or live lesson. All right, bye, everybody.